Back in 2020, in our book, Beating the Dementia Monster, we looked forward to the successful completion of the U.S. Pointer study by the Alzheimer's Association. We hoped it would confirm the results of an important earlier study, the Finnish Geriatric Intervention Study to Prevent Cognitive Impairment and Disability, or FINGER. The FINGER study powerfully supported our assertions about the effectiveness of lifestyle changes in stopping Alzheimer's disease. Did the U.S. Pointer study confirm the FINGER study? Well, we finally have some results, and we can talk about them. Hi, I'm Dave Brown. Welcome to the Dementia Monster channel. According to the researchers, the FINGER study was to be the first study to apply a multi-domain approach to dementia prevention. The main aim would be to prevent cognitive impairment, and secondary aims would include decreasing disability, cardiovascular risk factors, and related morbidities, depressive symptoms, and to have beneficial effects on the quality of life. We first discussed the FINGER study in 2018 in our Dementia Monster blog, and we have revisited it several times since. If you're unfamiliar with our blog, there's a link to it in the show notes below. If you read our book, Beating the Dementia Monster, you will also recall that the multi-domain approach to battling Alzheimer's disease was an important theme. Now, the FINGER study applied itself to 4 domains: dietary guidance, physical activity, cognitive training and social activities, and intensive monitoring and management of metabolic and vascular risk factors. While the FINGER study provided valuable information on the power of lifestyle to offset cognitive decline in the elderly, it had its critics. The strongest criticism was the subjects were uniformly white Northern Europeans. We know that dementias manifest differently in diverse populations, and it's a principle of the scientific method that others should duplicate the results of your findings. Therefore, several countries around the world set out to confirm the findings, although not necessarily by exactly duplicating the study. In the United States, it was the U.S. Pointer study. But then there was COVID. As with the Mind Diet study, the lockdown seriously disrupted and delayed progress on completing the study and analyzing the results. So while we had hoped to see results in 2022, we're only seeing them now. It's important to note that both the FINGER study and the U.S. Pointer study were randomized controlled trials. Unlike longitudinal studies, they actually changed people's lifestyles and then measured the results. Results were then compared to a control group whose lifestyle was not directly changed. This is far superior to the much more common longitudinal studies in which populations are studied for correlations between, say, lifestyle and incidence of dementia. In longitudinal studies, you find correlations, but correlation is not causation, and confounding factors can fly under the radar and bias your results. Randomized controlled trials are much harder and much more expensive to conduct, but they yield much more reliable results. Top-line results of the U.S. Pointer study were announced at the recent Alzheimer's Association International Conference in Toronto. The results were very positive. However, I am a bit disappointed, at least so far. Here's what they said. A structured lifestyle intervention of regular, moderate to high intensity physical exercise, adherence to the Mind Diet, cognitive challenge and social engagement, and cardiovascular health monitoring led to a statistically significantly greater improvement in global cognition over 2 years relative to a lower intensity self-guided intervention. To which has been added, cognitive benefits were consistent across age, sex, ethnicity, heart health status, and APOE4 genotype. Note the use of the word improvement. They didn't find that decline was stopped or even slowed. They said memory and cognition actually improved. Note that rather than with a traditional control group, they compared test participants on a structured program to participants on a lower intensity self-guided program. For the test participants in the structured program, they aggressively supervised them in changes to their lifestyle, while for the control group, they simply advised people on how to live well. The researchers thought it would be unethical to discourage anyone from adopting a healthy lifestyle, just to help their study. For you nerds, the published results are linked in the show notes below, or at least what's available if you don't purchase the whole thing. A couple of other articles are also linked. So this is a ringing endorsement of the multi-domain approach to brain health. But these were the top-line results, and some things remain to be discerned. If you read the report, you'll note that they never mention Alzheimer's disease. So I suggest we think of top-line here as preliminary. They haven't finished evaluating the results, and they haven't gotten to the point of saying anything about Alzheimer's. They still need to publish information about how many test participants in the structured group developed Alzheimer's during the 2-year period compared to how many did in the unstructured or control group. That's what I was looking for in our book back in 2020, and I'm still waiting. So thanks for watching. I hope you found these developments as interesting as I did. You can see the references and documents in the show notes below. There's also a link to our blog where we have more than 500 articles on my personal experience with Alzheimer's disease and the latest news on Alzheimer's research. Thanks and have a great day.